Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the special Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 Board of Selectmen meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. I think, as always, we'll start the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. Bob, we'll have you lead us.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So tonight we're going to hear from the search committee about the 4 candidates that they're pushing forward. So I'm going to give it to, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and we'll go from there.
I'm Bernie Lynch, Community Paradigm Associates, consulting for the town on the search and the selection process.
Bob Cutler, Town Clerk and Chair of the Town Screening Committee, Town Manager Screening Committee. So first of all, I want to thank Bernie for all of his help during this process. He was quite instrumental in keeping us on track and getting us to where we are today. I gave you each a package. In there is the agenda from tonight. Katie provided us a brief memo for me with regard to the selection process and the 4 resumes. And Bernie has provided you with an interview guide to help you through the process going forward. So briefly in the memo, basically what I'm stating to you is that we had a task at hand to provide you with 3 to 4 viable candidates. We went through the screening process of 27 applications. After completing the process, we unanimously agreed to present the 4 finalists, which we believe were most qualified and experienced. And the names are listed on the sheet there, and I will read them out to you. Thomas M. Giardino, Scott J. Lambiasi, Joseph F. Powers, and Christopher Sr. I don't know if you had any questions or wanted to discuss any of it, or you wanted Bernie to get into his part of it.
Yeah, perhaps I could talk a little bit about the process of how we got to the point of the 27 applicants, and you know, as Bob was indicating, that's what we had that had initially applied. We did unfortunately quickly lose 3 of those candidates soon after the deadline. They were offered other employment or made a decision to, well, actually all 3 of those did receive other employment and chose to take those positions. So we focused in on those 24 and conducted the interviews. The screening committee chose a number of candidates to interview, and came with those 4 particular candidates. I forget exactly how many. I probably should have had this number off the top of my head, how many we had a year ago when we did this. But I actually thought the numbers were pretty good, given the market and given the recency of the search that had taken place a year ago. That tends to sometimes cool the market a bit. So I felt that we had a good number of candidates there to look at. In both the high tier category that primarily we focus on, and even the secondary tier that people that have some interesting experience in the municipal sector that could bring something to the position, but might be lacking in total amount of experience that would prepare them to be a town manager in a town like Foxborough. But the candidates that Bob has read to you. You have their resumes in front of you. If I could, because I know the public's watching, they don't have the resumes in front of them, but I will tell you a little bit about each one of them.
And we're just seeing this for the first time.
And you're just seeing it for the first time, so you can read along then.
Yeah.
They are placed here in alphabetical order. Thomas Giardino is currently the executive director of the Greenfield Housing Authority. Prior to that, he served for almost 15 years as the town administrator in the town of Bourne. Bourne, as I always note to people, is an interesting community because it was the last community here in Massachusetts to have a full-time Board of Selectmen. It was only in the early 2000s that they made the decision to move to a part-time Board of Selectmen, increase the number from 3 to 5, and move to a full-time professional manager in place. So Tom served as the second manager. As you can anticipate, the first manager had some rough going, lasted 2, 3, 4 years, but it was a major transition. So Tom lasted almost 15 years there, and then both parties decided to separate after that point in time, and he took on the position out in Greenfield. Scott Lambiase is currently the town administrator, a town manager in Abington, former selectman in Whitman. Prior to that, he'd served in the town of Duxbury in a role that was essentially focused on large capital projects as well as oversight of the building services division of the town, but has a considerable amount of municipal experience that he has brought to bear in the town of Abington. Joseph Powers is the current town administrator in Harwich, a position that he's held for, I think, close to 3 years now. I don't have the resumes right in front of me, but has held that position in Harwich. Prior to that, he served as the assistant in Harwich for a short period of time.
And in the interim.
And it's interim
Yeah.
after serving as the assistant. And he has a considerable amount of experience as a municipal clerk here in the Commonwealth, most notably in the town of Braintree, city of Braintree, right down the street. So again, a good amount of municipal experience, touching all aspects of municipal government. And then Chris Senior, who you've met in the past, currently the town manager in Cohasset, and prior to that had served in a management role in the state of New York for a large municipality there. And so all with good management experience in municipal government, all serving at one time or another in the lead role of being a town manager or town administrator for their communities.
Thank you very much. Just catching up with everything that you've just told us, since this is the first time we're seeing this.
Yep, no, that's.
All right, great. So, that's good. Come to think of it, did Dennis have a chance to?
He hasn't
yeah,
seen them yet. Katie's going to send them to him tomorrow.
In the morning?
Okay. Okay, all right, so you're going a little blind, Dennis.
Oh.
No, we can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You hear me now?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah. But
So you were
hear
able
me,
to hear
clearly?
everything, though,
Great.
correct, Dennis?
correct.
You were able to hear, okay. So, but you don't have them in front of you. All right, we'll get them to you as soon as possible. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to say a comment. First of all, I want to thank the committee for what they did. You know, anytime anybody volunteers for anything like that, it's certainly a tribute to them and the work that they put into it. But I'm a little surprised not to see the person on that list who's been doing an outstanding job for the last 7 months here, Paige. Not that anybody would want her to automatically go through, but at the same time, I'm a little surprised not to see her on this list.
Well, I mean, that was the decision of the board, and it was a 5-2 vote not to put her forward for an interview. And I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did, so, and I think it was unanimous that we felt she didn't have the experience to take a job dealing with a $90 million budget, all the things that go on in Route 1, so. that was the position of the committee.
Okay. No, appreciate that. Certainly
Yeah,
appreciate it.
although she's doing all that right now, I would just add.
I'm sorry, Dennis, say that again?
I was just commenting, and I'm going to be vocal here because, I'm disturbed by what happened here, but she's actually doing all those things right now, particularly, with the Gillette folks and other things that have gone on during the past year. She's quite respected in those areas. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Can hear you fine.
Okay, good.
Is there anything, the rest of the committee? Board? So Dennis, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, this has been the worst kept secret in Foxborough. She wasn't going to be on the list, so maybe we're underreacting because we knew it was coming. But I have no problem with the candidates being presented. We did interview the gentleman from Cohasset before, but like Mark, I don't like that Paige somehow was left off the list. And, hearing the background of some of the other candidates, her resume even looks stronger now than what I thought it looked. So I would like to actually submit a motion to add Paige Duncan to the list of candidates to be interviewed by the select board for the town manager's position.
I'll accept a second for discussion.
I'll second it. I mean, I think anyone that's doing the job right now, I completely understand and respect the committee's direction, but I think she's been doing it, and I think, I don't think that there's any harm in interviewing her for the position. She's been working up with Route 1 for a while. I know the budget stuff may not be as strong, but I think someone who's sitting in the seat and doing the job for 7 months deserves a shot at an interview.
All right, well, I'm going to come back with the exact opposite. While I wasn't shocked or not shocked, whether, I didn't hear, it was about 7 or 8 days before it got to my ears. So I don't have anything bad to say about the job she's doing, but I will say a lot of what she's still doing is her old job. They're really, the budget, I don't think she's got as much input in the budget than, say, as Bill Keegan did, someone who came to us with 20-some-odd years of experience. We had to appoint an assistant, which we didn't have. So, like I said, I don't have anything bad to say, but I disagree that she's not doing the job of the town manager. There's been really nothing, I said it one time, more like the bomb. I hate to use the word bomb. She hasn't had the bomb thrown at her to show us her, so I don't have anything bad to say about her. I made some notes because I just how this has been going on the last couple of weeks, and we're getting emails from people, and people are coming up to us, and I do want to say, while I respect people coming forward and asking us to give her, I've had a number of people, and I've spoken to people I know that are on that side. That's not how my job doesn't deal with HR and getting, but so I've reached out, and people are like, well, if your screening committee didn't bring her forward, because a couple of people said she should have. They said then, and all these people writing emails and sticking up for her, including this board, had not seen, they don't know the knowledge of what the screening committee. So it's easy for us to say, okay, well, she's doing the job, but I think the decision was already made before we stepped foot in here tonight that some of this board wanted her to have an interview. And that decision was made without knowing any of this. So, I wrote down some notes that I had. First of all, I felt like, if that's what the board wanted, it should have been brought up a long time ago. I think her interview, if she were given an interview, should have been with the screening committee first, and then decided it would have been on the same level as everybody else who applied. It's not, wouldn't have gotten a free pass to us, okay? So I think we set the qualifications. We all looked at the posting. We all had the opportunity to add or subtract from that posting. We all approved the posting. Now, what I'm hearing from Bob is they did their job based on that posting, okay? As far as the screening committee, we handpicked that screening committee. We had a lot of applicants. It wasn't, last time I thought we had a great screening committee, but let's face it, we wanted 7, we had 7 people apply. So, I mean, other than Paige, and we didn't go with her because she was an employee, so, but other than that, we went with who applied. This time, we had 14, we had a rating system, we sat at this table, and we all said, what a great screening committee. We talked about the HR that was on that came. There were people who hire executives, so I have faith in the process. So my thing is more about the process. I don't think we should deviate from the process. I think if we change gears at this point, it gives the appearance that this board had other plans before this evening. Whether we did or we didn't, think it gives that appearance. I feel like we had faith in the screening committee, and now all of a sudden we don't want their recommendations. I think that's a little absurd based on how we sat here and really thought what that screening committee was. Wait a minute.
Dennis, I'm going to let Steph.
Let me just finish because then you can jump right in. Apparently the screening committee came up with 4, I think we told them 3 or 4 of the most qualified that out of the group. So I think I have a problem if we were to backtrack now, what that shows for our hiring process, the integrity of this town. I don't think it's professional. I think if we wanted her to have an interview, it should have been brought right up front that we thought she wanted to. I think there was a lot of time and effort that screening committee did, and I just feel like we're going against. If that's what members of this board felt, it should have been brought up at the beginning, not as we're hearing the names. And I did reach out to Bernie, because I thought I knew the answer, but I just wanted to make sure. These names have been released now, okay? And Bernie, if you don't mind me sharing a tip of our conversation, when I asked, well, what goes on now? He said he would notify the finalists. He told me one of the first questions that will come out of finalists' mouth is there an internal candidate? And he told them no. And so they've put themselves out. These names are now public. Their employers know that they're looking for other employment, and now we're going to change the game. I have a real hard, I don't like that. I think there was a process, and we should be sticking to the process. That's my say, anyhow.
Okay, can I jump in, Doc?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know where to start with what Stephanie just said, but it's been no secret at all that she's an internal candidate. She said that publicly right after she was named as the acting town manager, and she said it continually. All she's wanted is a fair process, an open process, and really she's earned an interview based on her performance. So I'll say that at the outset. I do want to, for the audience at home, I have a lot of expertise in this area, and I've worked with people like Bernie over the years, many, many times, some of the best search firms in the country, and they usually work for me, so I have a lot of experience in that area. Before retiring, I spent 17 years as CEO of 2 large New England healthcare systems, Cambridge Health Alliance, a multi-hospital healthcare system in Cambridge, Mass, Harvard teaching, 11 years there, Commissioner of Public Health as well. In Rhode Island, at Care New England, I was the CEO there. Brown University teaching affiliate, was there 6 years. Teaching hospitals typically have many, many searches that are performed. Over the 17-year span, I either directed or participated in over 100 searches. Possible presidents, senior executives, medical school chairs, directors of large departments, nursing lab. And I've seen more resumes that I could ever count. So Searches usually take 3 to 6 months, so interim management was often necessary in my experience. If someone internal had strong skills for the role, after discussion, the hiring authority, which is the board, could pick this person for the acting role. This is what happened with Paige. Depending on performance, this person might also be considered for the permanent role if interested. That would be Paige also. Having a screening committee with expert supporters is also an important tool for the hiring authority, which is the board, to achieve the best outcome. This committee recruits, screens, and interviews potential candidates, including the board's designated acting manager. This is a critical part of their role. However, they made a decision not to interview Paige for reasons that don't sound good to me so far from what I've heard. Then they develop a list of candidates for consideration and make their recommendation to the board. So that's sort of where we are tonight. However, I do want to say, I have never seen a situation where the screening committee, which really does the work for the board, chooses not to interview the board's designated choice, especially when the person has performed admirably in the role. The other thing it does, which is very disturbing, because you won't get an interview, it eliminates her as a candidate. That's sort of backdooring into a decision that I know the board would never have supported, not having her become a candidate if she didn't get an interview. So, I don't know when we should have weighed in, but here we are. And, I think we're not in a good place. This whole thing violates, to me, the spirit of the process, while also being very unfair to the acting manager. By not interviewing her, she is eliminated as a candidate. And no promises have been made to Paige, and she understands she might not get the position if there are stronger candidates. However, she just wants a fair shot for an interview she has earned.
I have
The other
to
thing
just
is,
respond to
just
that,
to
if I
give you a
might.
thumbnail,
Just a second.
spend a lot of time on her resume, but she has 25 years of municipal experience, 6 years in the private sector. She worked in 5 different towns before she came to Foxborough. How can anyone say she has no municipal experience? She also has an advanced degree. Her trajectory has really gone up, since she's been here. Bill Keegan promoted her to a current role, land use and economic development a couple of years ago. The role of the town manager is changing. Yesterday's town manager is not today's town manager in terms of skill set. Town managers and boards can no longer just increase the tax rate and fees in order to balance the budget with labor costs in particular going up. You need somebody that really is very strong in growth and very strong in the area of economic development. These are real strengths of Paige. So if you haven't seen these strengths, I've seen them for 5 years. She has them. She has natural leadership ability. She's an effective organizer. She develops very good relationships. She's a real great communicator, and she's respected by her peers. She's respected by her team that will go to bat for her, on any occasion, and I've heard from all of them. And she's just a strong candidate. She just wants a fair shot. And I'm sitting here saying, I'm not sure she's getting one. Hopefully it's miscommunication or misunderstanding, but I'm not liking what I'm hearing.
Well,
We were not giving any direction other than provide you with the best possible candidates that we could. We reviewed all of the applications, we interviewed people. Not a single person on that committee thought she was qualified for the position, not a single one. 5 out of the 7 didn't think we should give her an interview. Got nothing to do with how the job that she's doing, her job as a planning or land use, whatever. There was nothing negative said about Paige. She's a good person, she's a hard worker. But just as a for instance, when they applied or they sent out for a HR specialist, they required a 5-year minimum experience. So how do you then turn around and say, we're going to hire someone with, at the time the process started, 4 months' experience? When you look at all the resumes we went through, there were at least 6 other people with much more experience that we didn't even interview. So it's got nothing to do with Paige. She's doing a great job from everybody I've spoken to. But she hasn't been through the budget process, she hasn't negotiated contracts, and she hasn't really dealt with big issues up on Route 1. So the committee felt the 4 candidates that we submitted to you today were the most qualified and most experienced. I honestly think if you had given us the charge beforehand, which you did not, then obviously we would have taken that into consideration. And I also think at this stage of the game, if you change the game around, it's not fair to the 4 people that are now been named publicly. It really isn't. That's all I'll say about it.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else from the board?
I guess I would just say, to be honest, and hindsight's always 20/20. I never thought that she wouldn't. I know we didn't say that she should get an interview, but I thought that the person who's doing the job would get an interview. Number one, even if they're doing like a real crappy job, which I don't think she is, you don't tell them that they're not moving forward, because then you have a strategic risk there, for running this town, that they could the next day say, I'm out of here. So, even if they're not doing a good job, you keep them along so that you don't have that operational risk to running the town. So honestly, it had never really crossed my mind that she wouldn't get an interview. Again, hindsight's 20/20. Here we are. I do have to say, staff, saying that she's not doing the job today, I think is completely unfair. And I think that's something that if I was sitting at home, even as an employee, even as someone who's sitting here, we come and sit at this table twice a week. Quite honestly, with no due respect, you have no idea what her day-to-day looks like. There was 100 migrant families dropped in this town. And even Bill Keegan, with all of his, experience, has never had to deal with anything like that. So I think it's unfair to say that she's doing her old job, because that's just simply not true. And I don't know what your interactions have been or how much time you spend up here, but to say that is really unfair. So, again, just downplaying, I get there's been stuff on, the stuff on Route 1 in her old role. She might be the one that has to deal with that the most with planning and all that, and, be a little tough on that stuff sometimes. Again, the migrants, no matter who you are, we've never seen that, and that was dealt with. Like, honest to God, thank God it was pretty seamless to us, because it was a heck of an undertaking that even if you have a million years experience, you wouldn't have seen it. So I never thought that we'd be sitting here, and I do think it is an operational risk. I get all the reasons that you're saying. That it is a game changer. I have to think typically, Bernie, is the acting town manager interviewed? Have you seen this before? And we're just, we're like digesting a lot of this too.
I'd have to rack my brain a little bit in this. I don't know if I've ever had a situation or seen a situation where if the board wants someone interviewed, they haven't communicated that
In advance.
Yeah.
And, my mistake
because generally, in some communities, the screening committee is separate from the board, right? There's charter provisions that identify one member of the board, but a whole cast of other characters that will be appointed that are outside the board just for this purpose, so that it's separate. I don't necessarily like that. I think that it works better because it is a decision of the board, and therefore they should have be able to set the parameters of what this position looks like and who gets brought forward. But I think that when you appoint a committee and you give them a charge of bring us people, it might have been, if this is what the board expected and wanted, it should have perhaps communicated that.
You know, I think if we had given the message that that we wanted her interviewed, I think that could send the wrong message to a lot of people. It's wired, it's already, the decision's already being made. I've been here long enough, I kind of know how the community thinks now. You know, and there's a lot of history out there, and there's a lot of history in the organization, and you start to learn that history, and if we sent that message out right up front, you know, you're going to have to interview Paige, we're going to insist on it, that wouldn't be received the way you would think, I think, with the culture here, quite frankly. It was more like, you know, let's see how she does. She was never promised anything. We never said she couldn't, get an interview. But, you know, it was, let's see how she does. And I think that's really why we haven't said more. At least that's my opinion, why we haven't said more. But now when, you know, we're seeing the names and she's not on the list, we have to say something.
So Dennis, when you just said you don't know how that would have been accepted by the community or the organization, what do you think this says?
I think we're being honest and transparent. I think that's what it says. At least I'm trying to be honest
My
and transparent.
point is, you said
but-
you don't know how it would have been received. You don't think it should have been said up front? You said you don't know how it would have been received. So how do you think
Well,
it's
just what-
received now
just-
after
just
we've
what I
gone
said.
through the whole process? My problem isn't Paige. I'm just gonna come out and say that. There's a process. People have spent time, and I will tell you, listening to what I'm listening tonight, you might as well just make a motion to give her the job. Because if I were a candidate, I would be seriously
But
considering.
Steph,
whether I
don't
should
undermine
come
the
here.
process even more by saying that that's our intent. Because that's not fair. I'm not, to say that we should just make a motion to give her the job, quite frankly, I think is immature to do.
Okay.
Because that's not what we're saying. We're saying someone who's doing the job now, we're just giving them a chance. And quite frankly, operationally, she could say tomorrow, you know what, if they're not even gonna interview me, I'm out of here. Then what does it look like next week at Town Hall? So I'm thinking of it from twofold, but I think to say that, you know, we should just give her the job now, like that's undermining the process even further. I think we're trying to be honest and say, you know, surprised her name's not on here. Again, for me personally, I don't know about you guys, I didn't say it, but I had assumed that the person who's acting in the position where she, you know, had said she was interested in it, that they would get an interview. Because again, you leave like a lame duck that who's gonna run the town if we turn around and don't give her an interview.
Well, I guess maybe if this is the direction, then I would have felt more comfortable if it was brought up at the last meeting. We had a meeting in between, instead of it being brought up tonight when candidates' names have been released. We had an opportunity to do it. And let me just backtrack. I'll apologize for my comment. When I say not doing the job, she's here every day. She's not gone through a budget process. She's not negotiated. When I said that, that's what I meant. More of experience.
Yeah, and
Like I
Mike
said,
Johns had never
yeah.
negotiated a contract either. I mean,
Yeah.
there's things that anyone that comes in has done, hasn't done, just like if I take a job, if you take a job somewhere. But I think what I heard, and maybe I heard it wrong, was that she's doing her old job and that she hasn't been really doing the town manager job much. And I just think that, just to clarify.
No, I was referring, I should have made myself a little more clear. I was referring to, what the people at home have not seen all these emails we've gotten. But when someone says, I've watched her town manager update, a lot of the town manager stuff is from her own job. It's a lot of land use stuff, only because that's stuff that we need to be brought forward. I'm going to backtrack, so what I said is not insulting to Paige, because that was not my intent at all. But there are things that I was looking for someone with experience, who's negotiated the contracts, okay? Who's gone through a budget season and who understands the budget more, not so much learning on the job. So I will apologize for how I phrased it, because that wasn't my intent, was to insult her by any means. And so, like I said, that's all, I just feel like bringing it up now is changing the whole game. And so, if that's what you guys want to do, so be it. But I don't understand, you know, if we wanted her interviewed, it should have been brought up. I just, you know, I'm okay with what the screening committee has brought forward, because they saw all the applicants. So,
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, I understand what Dennis is saying about the, you know, what impact that might have had. I was trying to go through my head as you asked the question. I just went through a list of the 100 some odd searches we've done. There have been, by my quick count, almost probably 4 or 5 communities in which there's been an acting that has not moved forward in the process.
Out of 100 and, well, no, they haven't all had acting. Well,
The evidence,
right.
that's why many communities go for
Yeah.
bringing in someone from the outside to serve as the.
And honestly, that might just be me, that I had made an assumption that someone doing the job from an operational standpoint, you know, that they would move forward. So shame on me that I didn't say anything, quite frankly. I would assume that.
I didn't think about it either.
I am not, you know, I'm being honest,
Yeah.
I didn't really think
Yeah.
about it. And, you know, I think the applicants know that there's someone who's sitting in the building who's acting when they apply. Obviously, it does change the game. You're absolutely right. I'm not discounting that it changes the game, but it's a scenario that I had not foreseen, that now here we are. Dennis?
Just, if I can make maybe one last comment. You know, we're not picking a town manager tonight. To me, it's an issue of fairness. And what's fair to Paige, given, you know, what she's done. And she's gone way beyond what I'm hearing in terms of some of the things she's accomplished, you know, in 7 months. Great union relations, a AAA bond rating is the same. Financial health has never been better. There's a lot of good things going on, and it was really, you know, we were in a very bad place in June. You know, morale was bad, and you know, people were down in the dumps. We lost an HR director. We lost, you know, a town manager. You know, where the fit wasn't good for either party. There's a lot that. Am I here?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
I can hear you.
I thought somebody turned me off. But you know, this is about fairness to me, and I really take issue with somebody saying that we should just hire her, because if there's a better candidate, I'm voting for the better candidate. But to me, this is an issue of fairness, and somebody really almost backdooring Paige, and she's no longer a candidate. So it doesn't feel right to me. It's an issue of fairness.
I agree with you, Dennis, about fairness, but I'm also nervous of what might happen with other candidates. You know, where's the fairness to them as well? And I will say, while, like I say, I don't have anything bad to say about Paige, when you're talking about our financial stability, really that has nothing to do with Paige. You know, at least bring forward, the commodity of people at town hall. I'll give you that, but our AAA bonding and stuff, that was all there before, and we haven't even hit a point where anybody would have been impacting Paige or anybody else. So at least be, you know, when you're going to give her kudos, be fair on that too. You know, I get the fairness of it. I just worry about the fairness to the process and other candidates as well. And if we lose qualified candidates because of this meeting tonight, you know, that's something that I'm worried about too. So yeah, we have a lot of things to consider, a lot of things to worry about.
Seth, do you have thoughts?
I just want to say thanks to Bob and the search committee. I think you did a great service to the town. We appreciate what you did in going through multiple candidates and vetting them and bringing us what you thought were the best of the bunch. So just thanks and my appreciation for that.
I guess the one thing that, I guess, you know, again, the process was probably the worst kept secret in the community. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Paige even made it to your interview process. That her file was negated right from the beginning.
Her file was not negated.
Well, I don't mean negated, but you know what I mean. It wasn't brought.
She was given due consideration by the committee, and it was decided not to bring her for an interview.
Bring her in for an interview.
Yeah.
So she did not get an interview with the screening committee?
No.
How many people did? Just curious.
I think there were 4.
Yeah.
We interviewed, you selected,
But no, the public shouldn't know that number, so that's interesting.
Not the public, I was on the committee.
Oh, I thought Deb said that. Sorry. Oh, okay, okay. Okay.
I think we identified 5. And you
5.
interviewed 4.
4, right.
Right. There were 5 identified for interviews, and 4 were interviewed. One other candidate withdrew.
So it was just these 4 that were interviewed by the committee?
Right, and there was one
Okay.
other one withdrew before
Okay.
the interview.
Right.
So not 7?
Right, withdrew the day of the interview.
Not 7?
That's it.
No.
Well, I think no matter which way we had gone, whether we thought we would think in advance to probably put Paige's name as a candidate, or at least you guys know that, I think that would have been, raised a lot of Facebook discussion. And now conversely, we're at the point now where that potentially could happen again. I haven't weighed in yet overall, other than the fact to bring up what's gone on so far. But I'm, sitting here, sort of like wondering again, and it's brought up before, why the person who's, been doing the job doesn't have a shot at least the interview process. I totally agree with Dennis. Does not mean it's a done deal, even though there's a few in the community that would feel that that's the case. But I think she deserves an interview also. I know it changes the dynamics a little bit. And I know, and there's no doubt in my mind that, if there's a better candidate, I'm going to vote for that candidate too. But that's pretty much where I stand right now also. In all honesty, I know we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. But I've also talked to a lot of people in the community. A lot of people have reached out to me. And a lot of people are very upset that she didn't get the opportunity to, have that potential for that process. We have 3 letters now. That's not even a drop in the bucket to the people that I've talked to in the community over the last couple of weeks. And bottom line is, although we're not elected officials, we are beholden to the people that did vote for it. We are elected officials, although we're not politicians. And, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about all the people that have talked to me about that. And that's a strong voice in my mind, whichever way we discuss going forward. Some of them have worked with Paige here in Town Hall, but a lot of them were just people around town that have interacted with her one way or the other, or just heard what was going on.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just remind me, because we don't have the timeline in front of us. Have all 4 of these people gone through the background check, or does that happen?
No, they've gone through the background
They've
check.
already done that, okay.
And-
Oh, okay, sorry, this
No,
question.
no,
I
that's
have-
more for
Okay,
me, no, not
okay,
for Bernie, not
okay.
for Bob, it's for me. They've gone through the background check.
All 4 of these have, okay.
All 4 have gone
Okay.
through the background check, and will, Labor Council's gonna be discussing, us meeting with her, before the first,
Okay.
before Wednesday, the first, interview process. So, I just wanted you all to know where I stood. We do have a motion on the floor. Motion was to add a 5th name, to the list, and bringing Paige forward for consideration for an interview. Is everybody comfortable with the discussion we've had so far, even though it was a very uncomfortable discussion?
And I see both sides of it, like, I see both sides, but if I have to put on one hat and make a tough decision, I'm doing what's best for the town from an operational standpoint, and for me, the risk is, would probably be less to interview her and give her a shot versus cut it off.
When you say risks, just like when somebody is going to be terminated, they're escorted directly out of the building? Is that what you said, the risk of that? Is that what you meant when you said the
No,
risk?
no, I
Not
mean.
that Paige would do that, I'm just saying, you
No,
were talking
I
about
mean,
the
like the risk
of.
of, I mean, she could leave tomorrow. We could
Yeah.
have no acting town manager. We could, I mean, you know, she's been doing the job. She's, in my eyes, you know, what I've seen and kind of what I've heard from people, I know that there's been some time that's passed, and I think that she deserves a shot at it versus the risk of, I hope we don't lose anyone. And I know that, you know, it's different than what was communicated, but I think it's more risky for us to not interview her and give her the shot versus interview her, interview everyone else, and see who comes out on top.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Doc said, it's gonna go both ways, because I'm gonna say I've heard a lot of people have reached out and asked if we would, but I will tell you, for me, I got a lot of feedback that people were happy that it wasn't just a done deal. So, you know, it's both ways. So like you said, we're.
And just because
there's
someone
gonna
gets an
be-
interview, though, I don't
Yeah.
think it means, I think we gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
Just because someone gets an interview doesn't mean that it's a done deal.
Yeah, but my point was, and I meant no disrespect to anybody on this board, and Dennis, you as well, because I kind of said it at you right after your comment, but it's hard to, you know, the perception, when everybody sits here and just, when you negate the process and everybody is like, it's not fair, and Paige, it gives a perception. And I think you guys would at least agree with me upon that.
Well, that's what I said. We're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't.
You know, and I apologize, Dennis, because
But I
I
think what
kind
makes-
of said that my comment right after you were speaking, and I meant no disrespect to you as well. But the perception is hard not to just be the elephant in the room.
But there's a difference between a perception and someone sitting up here on the board and saying numerous times it's a done deal. It is not a done deal. I have no intention, you know, to hire someone and negate what all these interviews are, just to be crystal clear. You know, even if moving forward with an interview, that is not the intention, truthfully.
Yeah, and just to correct, this is the first time I've ever used the word done deal. And I'm saying that's what I've heard from the community.
Okay.
I never said that
Gotcha,
myself.
okay, from the community.
Well, I think that's an integrity issue if people feel that way. I mean, this is not, you know, people I know on the board, this is not what we're about. We're about making the best decision for the town, but we're also about fairness and making sure things are done in a way that's fair to all candidates that are involved.
All right. I'm going to move the question. All those, we're going to have to do a roll call vote because Dennis, huh?
I just said, yeah.
Yeah, as Dennis is remote. All those in favor of pushing Paige forward for a fifth candidate for interview?
Can I ask a question? Because Debbie had a question, or Debbie had a comment, and she put her hand up. Is it even though this
Oh,
is-
I just looked at her again. I didn't realize that you still wanted, come up to the,
I just wanted to
nope, come up here.
make a couple
Just-
comments. Debbie Giardino, 151 Main Street.
And
I
the only
also-
reason I'm letting you speak is because you were on the board. You were on that screening committee.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I just want to say, having had the experience of being on the committee and spending the hours that we did discussing the candidates and whether or not they fit that criteria that we were presented with was daunting, and it was well thought of, and people spent time and they spent energy. And to have it all become unraveled at this stage of the game, I think is a slap in the face to that board. I think it's a slap in the face to any future boards that may come before you, that you have chosen and sat here and said, this was a fine committee. I understand that you want what you want. That's the bottom line. And I think that it was a very unfair way to bid adieu to a committee that you selected. And, you know, may the best candidate win. We thought we were presenting you with the best candidates. It was not done in 5 minutes' time. There was an hour discussion on how to move forward with particular candidates and whether or not that they would be interviewed. It was never taken lightly, and I think that because you want to give a courtesy interview, which is what I consider it, it is in no way the way this committee, the selection committee was set up. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
And just to respond to you, Deb, before we do vote, obviously, we respect every single one of you. We voted, you know, we have full confidence in you. I still do. It's nothing personal. It's not that we don't respect the decisions. We know that there's a lot of time made. For me personally, you know, I wish I had said it from the get-go. I had assumed that it would move forward, and it's not to undo anything you all do. And, you know, we're not removing any of these names here. We certainly, you know that the committee has put a lot of time in it. I think for me, I'll vote yes to move forward with an interview.
Well, we're going to roll call.
Yep, Leah, yes.
Mark, yes.
Stephanie, no.
Seth, yes.
Dennis, yes.
All right, thank you. And, you know, there is going to be discussion that it was disrespect to the committee, and it wasn't, and it isn't. No, I know, you can laugh now, and Deb, and,
I'm just shaking my head.
right.
Because this came out exactly how I said it was that night that you were rude to me. Exactly.
But this is one of these tough decisions that no matter what, it's a hard one, and no matter what side you're on, people on the other side will be upset, and we make hard decisions, and I vote, you know, what I think is best for the town. I'm sorry that people disagree with it.
Thank you, Bob.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Going forward,
You'll never find another bunch of people to come and do the committee. Won't. That's the sentiment in this town right now. They will never step up for this board again.
and this board will change over the next 2 or 3 years, Deb.
Believe it will.
Darn right it will, and so it is what it is. I'm comfortable with my decision, and I can sleep tonight.
Good.
Thank you.
Glad you can.
Thank you. Going forward, just about the timeline, I think, you know, with the 5, I think we should pull, maybe put the names in a cup, maybe pull the names, doing 2 interviews on Wednesday, 3 interviews on Thursday. Does that sound like a?
Are all the candidates available both days?
I don't, I'll check on that.
Okay, did they have those dates?
I believe they do, yes.
Okay.
Is that what we did last time, or did we just
I think we did
interview them
alphabetical order,
alphabetically,
if I'm
how they
remembering right.
how they were listed?
And if I might recommend, do 3 the first night, 2 the second night.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I got to bring up is, and that's my fault, both days start at 5 on the Wednesday. I can't start till 6.
Okay.
So I was thinking Wednesday too, because we're starting an hour later, and Thursday we could start at 5 and do 3.
Okay,
But why would you think the other way around?
Seth's
Just-
saying the other way around as well.
Oh, you are?
Just because 3 in one night on the second night is,
I don't mind doing 3 on Wednesday night. I just.
wait till we're doing it.
Yeah, the pro-
No, either way, I'll tough it
The
out.
problem of doing, based upon the time start, your start time, it's hard to do 3 interviews that late into the night. So I do, based upon that, I do 2 and 3.
Okay, because we do have to start an hour later, which does take away potentially one of the interviews.
Sure.
All right.
Oh, because we thought originally
It was going to be
probably 2
5,
and 2.
but
It'd probably
Wednesday
be 2 and 2.
is going to be an hour later. We'll
Yeah.
start
And
at
did you
6.
say that we need to have another meeting before then?
No. Oh, but we're going to be meeting with Jamie either Monday or Tuesday to go over the background checks.
Okay, so we just got to figure out when we're doing that. I'm not.
Yeah,
doing my calendar.
she'll get back to us,
Okay.
if not today, tomorrow.
Okay, so that'll happen before the interviews.
Yes.
She'll go over the background checks with
Yes,
us,
I think
okay.
we'll all come in individually, and we'll go one-on-one with her.
And do we have a base template starting contract too? I know not knowing who it's going to be, but I feel like we should have something with her too.
Okay,
just
we
to,
can- we
you
can
know,
discuss that also.
yeah.
All right. Should we go alphabetically, or should we pull names out of a hat? Out of a cup?
What do you,
It's 6 of one, half dozen of
Yeah.
another.
I mean, I'm leaning towards pulling names out of a cup, but what do you guys all think?
yeah, because last time I think Chris had to go last too, if I'm not misremembering. Oh, he had to get moved.
He had to get
Remember, he had to get
moved.
moved because of that stuff that happens,
Yeah.
right? So,
Right. Yeah, I can't recall exactly.
yeah, I
how
don't
we-
really have a strong preference one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters, just to,
Anyway, so,
Yeah, we don't have the names in the cup right now, so maybe we just go alphabetically.
Okay, we'll go alphabetically. So, alphabetically, so long as we can work it out.
Yeah, and we'll check with make sure their availability.
So
too.
potentially right now, it would be Paige at 6, Thomas at 7.
Right.
On,
Katie,
Doc, I'm so sorry to interrupt. It's Katie.
oh, hi, Katie.
we knew.
So sorry. The names are in that cup, all but pages and folded if you wanted to go the route you chose.
Oh, we already have 4 names here.
Oh, so put Paige on a
Yep, so those are the names.
sticky. Let's
Yep, so if you
pull
can put
names.
Paige on that
I
last
like that way
sticky,
better
then
anyway.
you're able to go that way.
All right.
Apologies, I had to leave.
No, thank you for,
Let me make sure I fold it the same way you did, okay.
I think we should have Joe pick them.
Yeah.
yeah, Joe, yeah, come
Yeah,
on up, Joe.
none of us, okay? We're gonna have an audience member.
So, and a quick question too. So, I'm trying to remember what, because I didn't do any reaching out tours or anything last time. I'm not sure if any of you guys did or not. So we're gonna interview first, and after we interview, if there's someone we're interested, we probably should do all 4, whatever we all choose to do. That's at the point where we would maybe reach out to their to see if we can go tour where they are and stuff. Obviously, we have the background checks, but we would do that right after the interview process. And then, what's the date that we're supposed to select?
I don't have the time.
No, I got it right here. Names we got now.
It would
It
be
might not
January
happen by that date. I
16th.
don't want to jam it in.
It will be January 16th, January 16th meeting.
Yeah, so that only gives us 5 days to, obviously, if, Paige would be easy because we're right here at Town Hall. So I don't think she would be adding much time, but to maybe 5 days, and that's Thursday. Now we're talking
But
the weekend.
I don't think we could, we could start
MLK
that
Day,
process
MLK.
now. The names have been released. We could start that process now if you wanted to start talking.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be after the interviews, it could be
Okay.
before the interviews.
But I do
too.
think you'd want to interview them, then there might be someone you want to hone in on.
Yeah.
Or you don't,
Well, that's what I was thinking.
It may shape how your visit or questions
Did
go.
anybody go for a tour of anybody's workplace last time?
I did not.
Okay, so, all right, so it wasn't just me, so.
No.
I did, honest to God, when it was brought up, I didn't even think of it, until someone said afterwards, I was like, oh, I didn't even.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We learned a lot at the last time.
So, not that we want to drag out anything either, but could we maybe give a little more time? Because those second interviews gonna be Thursday. That means we have Friday, then we have the weekend, and then we're coming back Tuesday.
Mondays, yeah, because Monday's the holiday.
Yeah, then we're coming back Tuesday to talk, so.
Do you want to, we've got a regularly scheduled board meeting on the 16th. Are you looking another week later to make the decision?
Or you could always put it on the agenda on the 16th, and if we're not ready, we just skip it, and
Postpone it a
then,
week.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah.
That's a
If
great
that-
idea.
And even if we have
that's
to
good,
meet
just-
special, we could always do that,
Yeah.
if we,
Because I just felt like that was one of the things that was really talked about after the last round. That would have been a good idea for us to do a little investigating on our
Oh,
own.
Bernie's giving us,
Oh, okay.
You don't think,
Obviously, the board can do what it chooses on this. I question the whole wisdom of, can you imagine in the private sector that, someone at Apple says, gee, let's hire this guy from Google. I think let's go over to Google and talk to some people. It's just, I know it happens, particularly in the school departments. They love to do field trips.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you get from that. People are very uncomfortable. Selectmen in another community, having a selectman walk in and start talking to their people, you're disrupting another community's operation. I've only had it happen in one community where someone who worked in a city, not even in the state, suddenly had a bunch of selectmen show up. The mayor basically kicked them out and said,
so maybe it's more making phone calls and doing our own poking around.
if you want to,
versus, like,
that type of
physically.
thing,
Yeah,
but
okay.
the site visits, I question the value
okay.
of them.
Honest to God, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about it last time, and then after a couple of, not people on this board, but it was kind of brought to this board that maybe we should have, done
It
a
is like
little
going
more
up-
snooping.
Some
That's all.
some communities have talked to me about, let's go to some coffee shop in that community and talk to people. That's like buying a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
If the candidate's lucky, you're going to run into their brother and a best friend, and if they're it's bad luck, you're going to run into someone that they fired because they were stealing money from the town.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So if you would say we could maybe just, if there's somebody we want just to have a little more knowledge of, we could maybe make a phone call.
Right.
And so I don't think it hurts to put it on the agenda for the 16th. If we're not
Okay.
ready, we're not ready.
Perfect.
And
I
then
just
there,
thought-
we
I
could
just
either
thought it really
decide,
just gave us, and with Monday being a holiday, I
Yeah.
just thought that only really gave us Friday.
yeah.
Or Tuesday before we met to do anything.
I think we'll learn a lot too when we meet with Jamie,
There we go. Okay.
Attorney Kenny.
Okay, so what I'm going to have him do is line them up and then we'll open them. Do you want to do that or you want to open them one at a time?
No, whichever way.
Okay.
Suspense is killing me.
Can I borrow your pen for a second?
No, we didn't.
So potentially Wednesday,
Okay.
You want me to read this?
yeah, so
Yeah.
potentially Wednesday at 6 is,
This is Lambiase.
Okay,
Okay.
put it up so you can't see.
and 7 o'clock Wednesday,
Senior.
Okay.
senior. And then Thursday at 5.
Just kidding. All right, it's full. Is it Giardino?
Yeah,
Yeah, right, okay.
so Thursday at 6.
This one's full of shit.
A sticky note.
Sticky note is disgusting. Has to be the last one, right?
No, there's still one in here.
Oh, geez.
So, but, there we go.
Paige Duncan.
Will be 6 on Thursday.
This
7,
one has to be the
Yeah,
last.
we know,
right,
but,
So if I leave William that's not here.
yeah, right?
Powers.
This is a lot of power. Oh,
Yep.
Powers.
Powers. Thank you for your help with that, Vanna.
So Bernie, you can confirm with the,
I will talk to all of them. Yep.
okay.
Now, Bernie, you arrange those? And then we also.
I'll tell them that these are the times that they've been assigned and see
Okay.
make sure they're available.
And then we also, if I'm thinking of last time, we need to come up with the questions, they have to go around. Make sure that everyone, because we want to ask everyone the same questions to be fair.
Correct, which we have in the packet.
Yep. I've
have
given
a
you
sample.
a sample of
Yeah,
what
those
we-
are samples. I think
You-
last time we drilled that down.
Yep.
And then I think, did we assign like who had what question too, just so
Yeah,
we have
put-
ourselves
put a name-
organized?
We put a name in each of them.
Yep.
But I don't think it means these are going to be the questions, like, this is probably too much. Because we're trying to do,
Right.
how much, long, 45 minutes?
About an hour, I'd say an hour, but probably a
Okay.
little bit less so you can have some type of separation.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably starters, but we probably have to pare that down and then make sure the board doesn't want anything else.
Yeah, so maybe take those and each one of you choose one or two that you want and just go with that.
Do you want to, do you want either Doc or, I think last time we would just, I don't know who broke them up for us, but I think we got them with our name next to them.
think-
Do you
I
want
think it
to,
was-
want to just, whatever you want to do,
Right,
pick
but
out of a
let's
hat
go-
and do whatever?
Let's go through them.
Okay.
See what we need to cross off. 'cause
Oh, so
there
these
a
are the
lot-
same, these are from last time, because it says Taylor School and everything.
Yeah.
So, and I think I just took a stab at,
Oh,
I think I just took I like went like, so everyone got two,
Yeah.
if I remember right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if anyone wanted to switch, maybe we switched one question, I don't remember. Yeah, these are specific, but I did feel like we had too many questions last time.
do you want to just, I'm not trying to push it on you, but with your HR background, do you?
Or Paige, we have Paige Appolito now too, so.
The other option is just use those as a guide.
Right.
Yeah.
And then each one of you kind of grab it and write your own, the topic you want to take and the question you want to ask in the topic.
So really, what we could do, if you wanted to, and we could do this off screen, is go through the topics and give everybody a topic, and then where you go with that question.
Yeah.
How's that?
I think last time, when we got handed them, I think
Yeah.
I went with the question, but then I made a couple little
Yes, you
side
did.
notes,
Yep.
you know? So, yeah, why don't,
Because 12 is a lot to get through in an hour. I don't know, you're done your head. I think 12 is a lot to get through, so I would recommend maybe we revisit.
why do I feel like, did you possibly do that the last time? Were there
We
a
had a
couple of
bigger
questions
list
that
and
were a
we pared
little
it
bit,
down.
and did you tweak it down a little bit?
I I'd have to go look at my notes. I have it all saved. I just don't have it on me right now.
Yeah, well, is that too much to ask of you to?
No, I can look,
Yeah,
Yep.
just, well, why don't you skim it down a little bit? I mean, just because of your background, why don't you skim it down a little bit and then just assign us all whatever, whatever you think.
Okay, and then just while we're here, like, is there a topic you feel, that you looking at these,
Financial management, please.
okay, that one's yours,
All
okay?
right, there you go.
I lost my pen.
Oh,
Doc stole
poor,
my pen.
I stole your pen, you take it. Poor Dennis doesn't have this in front of him.
Oh,
So what-
I think this is the one document we had emailed earlier today, so I think this is the one that he does have.
Do you have this, Dennis, by any chance?
No, not in front of me.
Okay, so
You know what I can do? I can look at it, and who should I get to?
just let Leah know a couple of topics you'd like to
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe
discuss.
if you guys email topics, just topics, to Katie that you want.
Yeah.
Dennis, just looking, I see you all over personal management and collective bargaining.
And leadership and management style.
Yeah, that kind of directs me at you. I don't know if that's tempting to you or not.
But we'll go through them tomorrow and then get the topics to Katie, and then Katie will forward them to Leah.
Or I could just take a stab at it, and you guys can let me know if you want to trade too. I don't think anyone feels particularly married to anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you know us all well enough that
Okay.
you probably know.
I'll
where
look
to
at the notes,
put
I'll
us all
look
in.
at this, and then I'll make a suggestion, and I'll use track changes, so if I change anything, you see it.
We'll see the
Yeah,
changes.
yeah, okay.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good with what I did before, but I'm open to, other input from people
I don't
if
even
they
remember
like me to cover a different area.
And I think if I'm recalling, didn't after each question, like whoever asked it, then we kind of, maybe Leah, you kind of looked both ways and kind of, actually it was Doc. It was Doc. No, who was the?
It was Leah.
It was Leah. I think then you kind
Any
of,
follow-ups?
then you kind of said follow up. So if
Yeah.
anybody doesn't get a topic, they have a
Yeah.
question, we'll just fill it in. All right. Sounds good.
Any other, I mean, that takes care of the agenda. Unless there's anything else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Leah, yes?
Mark, yes.
Stephanie, yes?
Seth, yes.
Dennis, yes.
All right. Good night, Dennis. Thank you. Good
Night,
night,
Dennis.
everybody.